Hello everybody, this is my Promaster conversion part 8, insulation the easy way. Okay, there's obviously a lot of videos out there about insulation, but I'm going to tell you the way I've done it and do it. Right, wrong way, it's pretty much up to you and your situation. But I found this particular method that I'm going to show you to be pretty easy and quick. So I'm going to jump right into it. Excuse me. What I use is this Reflectix. You can get this roll, excuse me, in 2 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet, I believe. It's really easy material to work with, and this is how I do it. Excuse me. Now, obviously, depending upon your van, you have the panels come in different variations, and people use cardboard and things like that trying to cut out a pattern. But what I find is you take your Reflectix, you get a general dimension, cut it out with a square ruler, scissors, cuts really easy with scissors, not so much with a utility knife, and stick it up here. Now you have, let's say you have a rough, your rough cut. Just stick it in like this and follow the contour with a Sharpie marker, kind of like what I did right here. And then once you got that cut out, it cuts out really quickly. And then you can just set the panel in like this, and it gives you a nice barrier for condensation and gives you a nice backing for the insulation. Then after you have your panel cut out like this, you go over to where you're working on what type of insulation you're going to use. Let's say you got this foam board, or whether it's fiberglass insulation. You can set it right on top of it, like so. Just like that. Outline it with your Sharpie marker right along the edge. Take your utility knife here, and a little tip and trick on doing your insulation and cutting this type of foam board, or whatever type of foam board you have. Just lightly score with your knife. You don't cut all the way through it, just lightly score it, because sometimes you have a curve there. So you just want to, you can curve around, lightly score it about a 1/4 inch, then come back and do a couple more runs, and it cuts right through it pretty easily and cleanly. Then you take your pattern, take it back over to your van, take some of this 3M spray glue right here, 77, works pretty well, and I'm surprised how well it works on this aluminum Reflectix. Spray on your panel, spray it on the back of this, stick it up here, and you'll have a little bit of time to move this around and get it really tight the way you want it. Stick it in there. This is more or less not as much insulation, but for condensation barrier. Then after you got your foam board cut, as you can see down here, you come in and you can stick your foam board in here, and it'll fit in pretty tight. Now you will have some crevices like this at the top and bottom. You can take some of your window expansive material, such as your great stuff right here, and it doesn't expand too much, doesn't make that much of a mess, and you can fill in your gaps and cracks with that. And or you could, metal tape and things to that effect. So as you can see, I have another roll of it out here, but if you look, you'll see that I still have a gap here. Now you can either take another inch or use 2 inch of this and stick in here to fill this gap up. As you can see how I've shimmed out the walls. Now this is the battery compartment in my rig, and the sink and everything is going to be over here. The way I shimmed this out is I wanted it flat as wall as possible. That's why these shims are so far out. So my cabinets will have a nice flat level area to be mounted to. But once again, you're going to have a gap here. Now you can decide what to do with this gap. Put another foam board in here, or with me, I'm using this wool insulation as I did in the beams here that I filled, and I'm going to fill this up, and then it'll pretty much push as much air out of the cavity as possible. So the more air you push out of here, the less condensation issues you're going to have. Then this is the last barrier insulation barrier, I guess if you want to call it. It'll go here. Now, of course, this first panel to get started, I actually attached these panels. I'm doing a panel wall. Now, you obviously, if you're doing a plywood sheet going all the way across, you're not going to be able to do this in stages like I've done. But what will happen is you'll have this last barrier right here. This panel will go over like that, and I can fill in these crevices with that wool insulation, and it should be a pretty nice insulated wall. So that's kind of how I did it. I find it to be pretty quick and pretty easy. And like I said, as you work your way up with your panels, then you can kind of just fill in your insulation, and your panel can give you support as you go up the wall. Now, if you look, I have some bolts here on this. These bolts, if you notice, are for installing cabinets, and basically I'll have the cabinets will be bolted to the wall, and I'll show you that in another video. And that's pretty much. Now, as far as insulating, you want to make sure you insulate all your cavities and crevices. This does take a little bit of time. I've used the wool. I'm not a big fan of the spray foam because it can easily bulge out your walls and cause a lot of issues. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, this was a used van, Promaster. But like I said, just take your time, fill in as much as you can with your insulation, as you see I've done, and just kind of work your way up, as you can see. Just kind of give you a full view of it. And on the next video, I'm going to talk about how to insulate, or how to do a wireless camera, and how I did it in my particular van. So I hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you like, and stay tuned for the next one on wiring a wireless backup camera. Take care. Bye-bye.